NGOs and residents of Kharkiv in Ukraine march against potential escalation with Russia.
They do not care about its own people. The US slams North Korea over latest missile launch at UN security meeting. Iceland decides to end whaling by 2024, citing that the practice is unsustainable from a social, economic and ecological perspective.
In Ukraine, residents and NGOs of Kharkiv in the northeast marched on Saturday against potential escalation with Russia. The gathering comes amid heightened tensions between the two states over thousands of Russian troops close to Ukraine's borders, prompting fears of an invasion. The position of Russian troops has made some Ukrainian civilians want to learn to defend their homes. Hundreds have now joined the army's reserves, and Chernobyl is being used as a training ground for Ukrainian forces. The purpose of these exercises was to work out a scenario, the seizure of the premises and its liberation by the National Guard. That's what you just saw. Another purpose is to practice sniper couple work. You've seen how it works. All these scenarios were taken and summarized from the cases that have occurred since 2014 during the Russian-Ukrainian war. Meanwhile, Russia's Ministry of Defense has said that it is deploying military jets to Belarus ahead of joint drills. The Russian army is also continuing to deploy military vehicles close to Ukrainian borders. And American troops and equipment are arriving in Poland after President Joe Biden ordered the deployment of 1,700 soldiers there.
The United States has denounced the latest ballistic missile launch by North Korea at a UN security meeting held on Friday. Pyongyang performed its biggest missile test in more than 4 years.
Thank you for staying late for us. We appreciate it.
The US's stance was echoed by ally nations such as Britain, France, Brazil and Ireland, who condemned the launch.
The humanitarian situation on the ground there. We have worked to provide humanitarian support in every way possible, but to spend millions of dollars on military tests when your people are starving, I think indicates that this country does not care about its own people.
Meanwhile, China has called upon Washington for a more adaptable approach to deterring missile launches.
If they do want to see some new breakthrough, they should show more sincerity and flexibility.
It was no huge surprise Kim Jong-un's regime ignored warnings and condemnation from Western nations, with hints of restarting long-range and nuclear testing being made since the start of the year. In northwestern Afghanistan, young girls being sold into marriage to grown men is the norm. For desperate families, it is the only way to escape extreme poverty. When we don't have anything to eat, then we sell them.
Okay.
Father Abdul Ghani had his deal cancelled because of his daughter's injured leg. She was sold before getting injured. Now he is not giving me anything, and I have 100,000 Afghanis in debt to pay. The Taliban denies the country is in a humanitarian crisis, saying that the country is safe. People are coming to Afghanistan to help. Since the Islamic Emirate has taken over the country, no one has had any security issues. Around 90% of the Afghanistan population are dependent on aid from the UN and other humanitarian organizations, with 3 million people being displaced in their own country. Rescuers inched closer on Friday to reaching a 5-year-old boy trapped for 3 days in a well in Morocco, in an operation hampered by ground stability. Crowds have gathered extensively at the site, praying for the child's safety. The boy, identified as Ryan, fell into a 32-metre deep well, that's 105 feet, located outside his home village of Igran in Morocco's northern Chefchaouen province on Tuesday evening. As the rescue continues, threats of a landslide loom due to stress to the ground caused by digging. Search crews first used 5 bulldozers to dig vertically downward to a depth of more than 31 meters, according to Morocco's official MAP news agency. Then, on Friday, they started excavating a horizontal tunnel to reach the trapped boy, MAP said, adding that experts in topographical engineering were called upon to help. Turkey's Justice Minister said a fire broke out at an Istanbul prison on Friday, leaving 20 inmates and 1 prison warden hospitalized for smoke inhalation. There was no information on the cause of the blaze. Prison inmates in Turkey have set mattresses and other bedding alight in the past to protest detention conditions. Justice Minister Bekir Bozdağ said on Twitter that none of those hospitalized were in serious condition. A small plane carrying tourists crashed near the ancient Nazca lines in Peru, killing 7 people, according to the Transport Ministry. Rescue workers arrived at the scene, only to find what remained. Local police added that the deceased included 3 Dutch tourists, 2 Chilean tourists, and 2 Peruvian members of the crew. Madagascar is preparing for the arrival of cyclone BATSIRAI, with residents touching up their roofs to mitigate damages to their houses. Cyclone BATSIRAI is expected to make landfall on Madagascar's east coast on Saturday morning, after passing through Mauritius. In Austria, the death toll following a series of avalanches in the Tyrolean-Swiss border has risen to 8. Swiss and Austrian emergency helicopter services could only fly to the scene due to the heavy snowfall. Avalanches have been prevalent in the region, with 50 avalanches occurring in Tyrol today alone.
The race for lithium in Portugal has reached a pinnacle moment. While local residents are against the mining of the precious metal, citing huge environmental ramifications, including water contamination, the country's Environment Ministry has given the green light to mining the white gold in 6 different areas. However, the municipality of Pinhel will file an injunction to stop exploration. Locals say plans for a mine in FUNDÃO will interfere with the main irrigation system in the region.
Nunca será possível.
The mayor of FUNDÁO says it will never be possible, I would say for the municipalities, but also for the administration and even for the government. That mine will take place in what is one of the main assets of agricultural production, where there is such large investment. Besides, within this same area there are urban centres. But according to Savannah Resources, a London-based mining company, Portugal has 60,000 tonnes of known lithium reserves. However, the mining of this essential metal, which has been used for decades in the electronics and pharmaceutical industries, may also contribute to deforestation and air pollution, which will have a negative impact on many local populations. This local resident says, "We have heard about the dangers and the problems it will create for the environment and also for people, so it's worrying to know that they will come to exploit it here in our territory." Despite concerns of irreversible environmental damage, licences to search for lithium in other parts of the country have already been granted.
Iceland plans to end whaling from 2024 due to a fall in demand. The return of whaling in Japan in 2019 has left a small market for Icelandic whalers. For the past 3 years, Iceland's whalers have barely taken their boats out into the North Atlantic, being a costly endeavour. For the experts, whaling is an activity that has to be rigorously controlled. Moreover, it might not be sustainable for other reasons.
So our advice for whales, just as in every other marine stocks that are being harvested, is to set maximum limits rather than recommend harvesting or not of a specific resource. Even if the whaling is sustainable, from a biological point of view, it might not be socially or economically sustainable, and that's, again, outside our field.
Rather than ending up as steaks on a plate, whales have in recent years become the stars of a flourishing eco-tourism scene. More than 360,000 whale watchers flocked to Iceland in 2019.